Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, people of all races, colors, and creeds, yes, welcome back. You can listen to the greatest show on earth. I give you permission. If you can handle it, you know what they say, if you can handle it. Yes, you can handle it. This is really nothing here. This is just the biggest extravaganza since the Pope declared himself Jesus on earth, God on earth. That was a big extravaganza. But this one's bigger because we tell you that he's not. Okay, yes, it is the greatest show on earth because it's better than sitting and going to a spirit cooking dinner with Clinton bloodsuckers and hosted by Maria Abramovic and being told they're only serving white meat. Oh, no. Oh, please. Okay, it's better than going to confession. Oh, yes, I say that all the time. Yes, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Today, you know something? I went to the beach. Oh, my goodness, my son. That's a mortal sin. And you're getting that from a priest who just molested like 30,000 children, and then he's been sent to another parish where you can do another 10,000, and that's okay? Oh, yeah, the wheels of justice in America are really fair, aren't they? Hey, listen, it's better than being obsessed with this idea of death. That's what I'm getting. I get an email today about the death statistics. This is from, let's see, when this thing started, February 1st through today. And there's 37,000 COVID virus deaths. Oh, really? 37,130. You know something? There were more influenza B deaths before this thing happened, and they didn't shut down the world. That's because this is a farce. This show is better. Yes, it's better than most everything on Earth right now because there's nothing going on. Did you ever understand? This is better than going to a Cubs game. You know why? There is no Cubs game. This is better than going to a hockey game. You know why? There is no hockey game. This show is better than going to the Met to listen to the greatest opera in the world. You know why? There isn't any. There's nothing. You know, this is really ridiculous. If you want to talk about really locking down the farce and this diabolical satanic agenda, which is here to drive you crazy, it really does. Yes, and that's what I'm here to tell you about today. You have no rights. You are going to watch your rights get dwindled away, whittled away, until there aren't any left. And, you know something? This show is much better than listening to Dr. Death, Dr. Dracula, Anthony Fauci. I call him Father Anthony Fauci, Jesuit Father Anthony Fauci. And yes, it's better than listening to him every day go, I want your COVID blood. We need to have more of your blood. We need to see more death. We need to pile up more bodies into a truck, just like we did when we used to pile those children at the Duplessis orphans in Canada and put them in wheelbarrows after we experimented with them with our Nazi doctors. It was so much fun back then. We had to do it in Canada because the American press would have said something. You know, you got to listen to this guy, Dr. Anthony Fauci. You know, let's talk a little serious stuff here for a second. I've got the COVID virus hoof and mouth disease. It seems like every time one of these guys gets on TV, whether it's him or whether it's the girl with the scarf, whether it's the King Trump and Baron Trump and whatever, and now they're going to say, you can't make fun of kids. Oh, no? You're making fun of like 30 million thousand people in the world and we can't have a little fun? Why would you name your son Baron? You know? Listen, I'm going to name my son the next time Duke. Yeah. And I'm going to really screw with you guys because you won't know if it's because I want it to be like the Duke of Edinburgh who wants to really come back as a killer virus to see the whole world get depopulated, or whether it's with John Wayne. Maybe I named him after the Duke. But anyway, Fauci. You know, we listen to this guy. Do you know where he comes from? Let me give you a little history lesson. Quick. His hero is George Bush Sr. You should hear him talk. This was at a Regis High School reunion or something. They were honoring him way back when. He went to Regis Jesuit High School, then to Holy Cross Jesuit college, and wherever he got his epidemiology thing. And then he's a Jesuit through and through, through and through. You got a picture of him. I found a picture of him with Mother Teresa. Yeah. You know, Mother Teresa, it was touted as this saint. When you really look at her, I mean, I remember having 2 nuns on my show years ago that worked in her financial department, and it was one of the biggest money laundering operations in the world. She was caught selling babies. I mean, and she's a saint. Well, that goes, that's par for the course when they, a saint really is the devil. Put it that way, in disguise. That's my take on it. And if you Catholics don't like it, I was a Catholic, so I know what I'm talking about. Maybe. Come on. Don't get too serious, Greg. But, sometimes we got to call it, a what. This guy, Bush, is a Bush family creation. He was given the Medal of Freedom of Honor from George Bush, Jr. Then he's worked his way up the ladder. What is the difference? Why? Listen, if you think Trump is on the level, you MAGA people, not that I don't like him as an actor. He's a great president actor. I mean, he's probably the best actor ever since whoever else they put in there, because he should win an Emmy for his acting role as president of the United States. He's much better than Martin Sheen when he did it. He played the president, right? Who else played the president? They always put people in there to play the president, but he's done a best job, I think, in this reality show they call Covert 19 Plandemic, or I call Covert 19 Plandemic. Yeah, it's really a farce. It's an agenda. It's a universal lockdown for a different reason. And we've got to get to the bottom of it, because I said a long time ago, this show is better. Yes, better than watching the Jesuits take away your mind, body, and soul with all of their shenanigans over the years. Yeah, I mean, Lincoln even told us, the Civil War wouldn't have been possible without the evil hand of the Jesuits. Then I asked a person a Jesuit, I said, well, what about that? I mean, we've changed. That wasn't right. We were getting bad press. Yeah, right. You control all the newspapers. I mean, what do you mean bad press? You hide everything. At least let people talk about this. Maybe it's not true. I've even said to myself, and to other people, I don't care if you don't believe me. I'd like to get this message out. They won't let it, because, it makes too much sense. Yes. So here we have this farce, and people are falling for it. Every day you hear more. Now you're hearing how the bodies are being stacked up at the morgue. Okay, who's running the morgues? I mean, there's a lot of people that die every day. There's 150,000 or more every day in the world. There's 7,000 some. So add that up. From February 2nd to May, the average is 7,500 a day. So you get a lot of deaths. You can play with the numbers, which they've done. And they're listing their numbers now so interestingly. They go, COVID virus death, 37,000. COVID virus death with pneumonia, so X amount of death. COVID virus death with this. COVID virus death with getting hit by a 300-pound pig is COVID virus. And they add those numbers up too. So at the end, they got this huge number, and they don't even know what it is. Yeah, I mean, are we supposed to believe this stuff? But anyway, it's a crazy thing. So we got Fauci there. If Trump is on the level I was getting at, he's an actor. Okay, he does a good job, but he's not for real. Okay, he's one of them. He's just playing the other side. Get with it, folks. You're going to have to really understand this if you want to join Slats Grobnik's Second American Revolution. And in the second half hour, I'm going to update that because, the reason I'm talking so freely and openly, remember how I was like having the whisper for like a week and a half because I was in a farmer's house in Kansas hiding from the COVID virus police? Then remember that drone found me and the Pillsbury Doughboy came down and tried to give me a vaccination shot and I had to shoot the drone. I saved the Pillsbury Doughboy out of the kindness of my heart. How can you hurt the Pillsbury Doughboy? I mean, that was an ingenious way of doing this. Make it look really nice. The Jesuits are doing this. Yes, it was beautiful. So I had to talk quietly because I never knew they were constantly harassing me. They put me in remember, I was in my Mexican home. I'm minding my own business. I'm not even in America. In fact, I'm declaring Mexican citizenship. You know why? Because I want to join Pancho Villa or something and get on a horse and end this thing the right way. You know, I've been taking sword lessons, from there's a school, really, you don't know this, of Royals. They still teach fencing, but they've got a side branch of, 15th century sword fighting, with a shield and then a knife. I'm taking that course. Yeah, they give you a wooden sword so you don't get hurt, but that's fun. I figure, well, I'm not going to take one of those little fencing things. They bend when you hit somebody. I want something to go right through. That's what they used to do, right through the, whole body. But anyway, you can take a 15th century sword fighting class. I've learned to ride horses. I used to train racehorses, so that's no problem. I'll be like, they'll never catch me, Boy, I sure miss. I'll tell you what, one of the greatest experiences in life for me, how people like to ride motor race cars, and they say that's the greatest experience, and I can understand that. I really like people who take that risk. Mountain climbers interest me. They get I don't know how they do it. I really admire them. I'm serious. People who skydive, and then they do those exercises. It's beautiful. Can they do that now? Is that allowed to go up in the air and skydive? Probably not. You can't go scuba diving in many places. Well, they've closed down all the beaches in San Diego and up the coast of California and on the East Coast. I don't know if Florida's open or what. But that's the safest place to be if you want to get healthy. You know what? I used to scuba dive for years. And I'll tell you what, nothing exhilarates you more than that salt water, man. I'm telling you, it's a great therapy. I used to love it. And to keep people away from the beach is really a sign that these guys are screwed up. And they're Satanists. Let's call it the way it is. And this Fauci guy, if you don't think he's a Jesuit, then look it up where he went to school, how many presidents. He's been there for like 38 years through every president. And like I said, I wanted to make a point, and I got carried away with horseback riding and sword fighting, which, is a good schooling. If you got nothing to do, your kids are homeschooling now, teach them how to use a sword like they did in the old days. You may need it, the way these people are. But Americans, they're so docile. They'll let people push them around like a feather. Even these guys that go to the, you know what really bugs me? These weightlifting guys, What do they do it for? I tell you, if you're doing it to play football or something, I can understand it. You got a reason, a goal. I want to score the touchdown. A lot of these guys go in there just to build up their bodies. But you put a sword in their hand, and they're going to run away like, I'm going home to mother. Come on, get with it, America. These people are out for your mind, body, and soul. What are you going to do about it? Oh, he's spreading violence. No, I'm not. What, did I ever say do anything? No, I said learn how to do it. Let your enemy know that you're ready. They won't. What are they going to do? They'll send the Pillsbury Doughboy. They send invisible enemies now. If they were for real, really tough, they'd come through with tanks through Detroit and just level it. Okay, so we got time. And Slats Grobnik has put together this Second American Revolution, which I'm going to get into in the second half hour. So listen to exactly what happened and where I'm at. But let me tell you this. If Trump was for real, he'd never have Fauci get on that stage. He'd never even be involved anymore. That's what I'm telling you. He's not cleaning. He says he's cleaning the deep state out, but they're all there. None of them ever get arrested. It's all a game. They leave them there so they can play the Hegelian dialect and fight back and forth. Keep you occupied. He's not for real. He's a great actor, and I know for sure because I was listening in yesterday again. First of all, I'm sitting at the replica Coliseum. I'm in a really special place. It's a soundproof place that Slats had built. Unbelievable place I'm in. I got a widescreen TV. I got the great electronics. I actually got a real live studio. He's even asked, do you want an engineer? I've got these Praetorian guards that know how to run a mixing board. I said, no, I'm so used to doing it myself. What a guy. He thinks of everything. But anyway, I'm busy reading a Protocols of the Second American Revolution. He left for me. I'm going to meet him in several days. He's out in the hinterlands raising his army, just like they did during the time of Alfred. Remember in the 800s when England was fighting and Alfred was trying to unite England against the Danes and the Vikings? Now that was people were people, you know? Let me tell you. So he's out raising his army, and he's having trouble because most people don't even want to come outside. And I can't tell you, he's in disguise, of course. You know, this guy's got more disguises than a Jesuit CIA operative. I don't know what he looks like. He'll probably come in looking like Madonna or something. But it's good, you know. We gotta work the way they do. Take lessons from the boys, you know. In fact, Slats read how Lorenzo Ricci, the Jesuit general, actually put together the American Revolution. So this guy's armed with a lot of material. He also read Sun Tzu's Art of War that was written, you know, first translated by a Jesuit priest called Father Amiot, but that was also under the direction of General Lorenzo Ricci. And so the Jesuits had their hand in China a long time ago. Then, of course, he's read Mein Kampf to get their idea about Nazism, not written by Hitler, of course. It was written by Bernard Stempfel. He was a member of what order was it? It was the Order of St. Jerome, which was controlled by the Jesuits. That was an old Catholic order. I think it's defunct now. They change a lot. Yeah, I mean, I've always said the Jesuits are the greatest in two things. They're great at fomenting wars and revolutions and creating religions. I mean, they've done a number of them. And I'm looking forward to this new one they're working on, this one world order one that they have in mind. Should be interesting. Well, anyway, Slats is well read. He's going to use a lot of the tactics they use against us on them, and we'll see if it works. So I'm in the middle of reading this. He's asked me to read this so I get up to speed on the Second American Revolution. And in fact, just like King Alfred, back in the days when people didn't write much, he began to write everything down, scrolling. He was a maniac. I wish he had a computer. Can you imagine what we would have learned? He had to do everything by hand with those feather pens. That's amazing to me when you watch this, how they did that. On what kind of paper did they use? I know there's some really good historians out there. But he had all these scrolls, and his idea was to document everything for posterity, okay? And that was the first time King was really doing that. And so I've taken up on Alfred's role, and I'm documenting this Second American Revolution from the time I was kidnapped, in fact, I'll go back when I have time and tell you how I met Slats. Now, Slats Grobnik is a good story, and I should tell you a little bit about him, because we've heard so much about this COVID. You know, it's really getting annoying, isn't it? But the other day, I'm trying to get off the subject. You know, I have this COVID virus. Well, it's called the COVID-19 hoof and mouth disease. Yes, I'm inflicted. Please don't get close to the speakers. You may catch it. In fact, I hope you catch the COVID virus hoof and mouth disease, not the invisible enemy, of course. That, who knows what the heck that is? I mean, as Mike Pence said, you may have it and you don't even know it. Many people, he said, 9 out of 10 Americans think they have it and they don't have it. Wow, good show. That's exactly what they want. Fear. Fear has been their game for years. I mean, hundreds of years. Keep you in fear and you'll do anything. Right? Unless you're not afraid to die. I mean, we're all going to die. That's one thing we have in common. And death is something that you think about. It's the road to death that's the tough thing. Every day, you know, people wait. Am I going to die from today? You know, getting hit by a car. You know, everybody once in their life has thought, how am I going to die? You know? And glad some people say, would you like to know the day and time? Definitely not. But now they're making it easy. You know that if you die within a certain period now in the United States, from now to forever, it's going to be part COVID virus no matter what. Because they tell you if you have a cough, if you sneeze, if your nose is running, if you think you have it, you have no symptoms whatsoever, you have it. So that will be on your death certificate, along with something like he died in a fiery crash, hit by a train. His car was crossing the railroad tracks, but his wife said that he had a cough on the way to work. COVID virus plus getting smashed by a train. Okay, we all die. It's that road to death that's difficult. But you know what? Think about it this way. Once you do, it's not too bad. I mean, you were dead for how many years prior to being born, and you didn't phase you one bit, did it? And just think about all the things people will say about you. Never have people been, revered more than after their death. They hated the son of a gun before, but boy, Joe was not a bad guy, I remember the time, and you'll get so many accolades. And then everybody gets drunk at your funeral afterwards at the party, reminiscing about Joe. Of course, everybody does it, and you'll get it too. If you have one, a funeral, if they allow family members now to go. Did you understand people are getting upset? They're not allowing people to spend time with their loved ones now because they had a cough and then the guy's dying of liver disease, but you can't go in. It's a way to separate you socially. And they're doing a heck of a job. It's a masterful plan, but there are a few of us that understand it. And there sure are a lot of people on the internet with some really contrary facts and opinions, doctors, scientists, truth seekers, etc., that have caught the COVID virus, hoof and mouth disease, I might add. And what is it, I ask? I'm specific. This is a disease that you can't help yourself but see the holes in this Swiss cheese story they've created, just like 9/11, and you're compelled to give facts that show this is crazy. I've got that, and there are many people out there too, and I hope you catch it. And to dispel a rumor, anybody like us, according to Amazon, according to Google, people that talk against this they're trying to censor it, saying it's bad information. We're going to lead to more people dying. Oh, really? They're the ones. They blame you for exactly what they're doing. People can't even get into the hospitals now if they have, let's say you got a really, not quite a serious illness, but, you can't go. People are going to get really sicker because of this. Mentally, people are at their wits' end. How many months can you keep people away? I mean, go out in the street. Every question is, well, can I go here? You can't even go to your daughter's violin lessons or something. They don't even allow piano lessons or whatever. Everything is just upside down. My advice to you, just forget about them. Don't listen to any of these things. You have a business, open it. If you want to go, buy a pair of shoes, go buy a pair of shoes. And if they tell you put on a mask, you know what you do? Give them the finger. I'm talking about the index finger going, non comprende inglés. You point your finger at your mouth, don't touch your face. And you say, non comprende inglés. Non parla inglese. Scusa. And then just pretend like you don't speak any English, and then, what are they going to do? They're going to start, don't get near me, stay 6 feet away, Use every tactic possible. And in fact, I was talking to people that train dogs the other day. Yeah, and dogs can actually detect prostate cancer. They can detect a lot of things. So they were saying, why don't they use dogs to protect COVID virus? Okay, take your dog. Well, I mean, what do they, unless we know exactly what it is, don't give a dog even a really difficult task. You're going to screw him up. He's going to come back and say, well, he's got something, but I don't know if I can say it's the COVID virus. Could be SARS, could be a combination of this. He has a cold, though. So, dogs are really smart, but I'll tell you what, this might be the one. They can detect heroin, they can detect prostate cancer, breast cancer, etc. But when you have an invisible one here, I don't even want to, put the dogs to a task that's impossible. But anyway, we'll see. Hey, I'm all out of time in the first half hour. Come back. You're going to love the second half hour. I'm going to tell you where I'm at. We're going to get into the Second American Revolution on the Investigatore Giornale.
The book of Revelation says, The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Okay, folks, you're back. Second half hour of the Investigative Journal. It's a show for all people. Yes, people of all races, colors, and creeds. If you think you're a boy one day, a girl the next, you can listen to this half hour, but that's it. Get your head on straight. Come on. Greg Anthony here on the greatest show on earth. We're the greatest show on earth because it's better than getting poked in the eye with a sharp stick. It's better than going to hell in a handbasket, right? Oh, it's better than somebody telling you, could you please say it in your own words? I'm going, my own words? Well, I have words like everybody else. I use words everybody else do. What are my words? Okay, I can say, those are my words. You want me to keep talking like that for 25 minutes? It's a little time to get a little angry. Don't you really just want to? I just at the break I threw a rock through my window. No, I didn't. No, but I want to. But it's not my window. You see, I'm in Slats Grobnik's replica Coliseum in the green room. He's built one, just like in Georgetown. This is true. He built a tunnel because we've been bugging it so much that he built a tunnel. This is not where the gladiators play. They have the rooms for the gladiators, which are going to be the New World Order people, right? But he's got a tunnel, and then it's a green room, just like we bugged for years, getting all their information. That's that tunnel between Georgetown and the White House. And people wonder, how did you do it? And he said to me, he says, I'm not going to, let the cat out of the bag, but... that mechanical fly on the wall that we created was genius, Now you know how we bugged it. You always hear, oh, I wish I was a fly on the wall. Well, think about it. So anyway, before I get to a complete description, part 7 of my, because I'm documenting this story just like King Alfred did of Wessex. He was King Alfred of Wessex. You see, I'm up on my royal history during, I think it was 800 and something. And it's a fascinating story, really. But anyway, he used to document everything, so I'm documenting the Second American Revolution, the COVID virus, and so much more. I mean, there's so much. I was thinking about this. You ever notice how many books there are now? And I really like Mark Twain. He once said, illiteracy is really not that bad. People are always saying, literacy is terrible. He said, that's not that bad. And they asked him, Mr. Twain, why would you say such a thing? I mean, you're a writer. Wouldn't you want everybody to read? And he laughed and he looked at him. He said, it's really not bad. Just think how many bad books you don't have to read. And he's got a point. He would go crazy today. I mean, there's so many books. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying there's so many out there, they've caused me not to read anything. I'm one of these kind of people. If there was one book in the world, I'd read it. But if they got 20 million, today I checked it out. Everybody's got a book. I said, you know what? I'm going to be different. I'm not going to write one. I'll be the only person in the United States that hasn't written a book. So what are you doing? Well, I'm taking up Charles Dickens. He used to write for a newspaper, and then he'd write a story, and then he'd put them all together and then put them in a book. All right, I'm not going to call it a book. Well, what are you going to call it? I'm going to call it, I don't know. Why don't we call it what George Bush called the Constitution, a piece of toilet paper or something? We can call it that, Or why don't we call it something that you wouldn't want to wrap fish into? No respectable fish would wrap themselves in a Rupert Murdoch paper, right? Mike Royko said that years ago. Rupert Murdoch's a Knight of Malta. He owns Fox. You think that he's going to tell you the truth? He's a Jesuit. Come on. I don't care what Sean Hannity says. I mean, I am to Slats Grobnik like Sean Hannity is to Mr. Trump. Okay? So we're even. But anyway, I'm sitting here, and I wanted to do a couple things. In a quick 30-word rendition, because people, when you write for newspapers, you realize you got to write the 30 words or less in a first paragraph, and then you write what's called an inverted pyramid, so the most important things, because most people don't read it after 3 paragraphs. The rest of the story is just kind of like, fill it in, make it sound good in case one person out of 2 million read it. So anyway, 30 words, how we got here. Very simple. Let's use Fauci as an example. Let's use Bush. Start with George Bush, Sr. He told us there'd be a new world order. He also told us it would be a world order ruled by the rule of law. No more wars, no more anything. They double talk, you see. They're going to rule you because their laws are not going to let you do a darn thing. There's going to be no crime because if they do, they'll just cut your head off. Then it moved over. So Bush, yes, he's lied to you so many times. I mean, Bush, we've done George Bush Sr. many times. Then we move on to, who was after him? Reagan? And Reagan brought in the Pope. Okay? Reagan brought in the Pope. The Vatican was not recognized in America officially since they killed Lincoln. Okay? The people back then understood it. They broke off diplomatic relations because they tried to wipe out, Lincoln's cabinet. Well, that's a good reason, right? And then they hit out some of the people that were doing it. It wasn't a lone gunman. They've been using this for a long time. So he's a scoundrel. He works with them. So we got 2 New World Order people and 2 different parties. Then we move on, and I may forget 1 or 2 here, but, it's pretty simple. I'm trying to make the analogy. Then we have William Clinton, who sold our country out to China, okay? He brought in people like Fethullah Gulen, a confirmed radical Muslim, living right now high off the hog, millionaire, being given taxpayer money to spread radical terrorism. So we are now during a period of time where they've worked on another enemy. We had the enemy, we had the Cold War. Then they had to create terrorism, and they used a nice name, ISIS, which... I've told you what ISIS. Why would they use ISIS? Because they're sticking it to you. ISIS is a Greek goddess. You know, all these obelisks at Washington, in Rome, in London. They all they're adoring ISIS. Look her up. So they named a terrorist group ISIS, and that was the big deal. You know, they had to have 9/11 with George Jr., who was really, you know, Fauci's there this whole time. You know, he's there. He got his start with George Sr., then he got the Medal of Freedom from George Jr., and then the Clintons are there. Or did Bush came after? Who knows? You know, Bush, Clinton, they all just are the same to me, because they really are. But if you follow the terrorist ball, they had to have terrorism. Then Obama comes in, and he sells out. Bush, you know, covers up, and they cause 9/11 to get us over there. And so we're fighting this terrorism now. They create ISIS. Then, of course, Obama comes in, and he emboldens everything. He's more or less giving away America. He's making excuses, giving it the whole thing away, depleting the military. And ISIS is running wild. Then Trump comes in, magically gets rid of ISIS, right? And then all of a sudden, he's building this economy up. I'm giving money to the military, blah, blah, blah. And then within 2 weeks under Trump, and Fauci's here this whole time, you know, working on things like the AIDS hoax. This isn't his first rodeo. And guess what? Now, within 2 weeks, we go from a splendid economy to Great Depression numbers, 20% unemployment, people without jobs. But they will come to your rescue because they love you. Yes, they want to protect you from an enemy. See, they get rid of ISIS. Now they create this invisible enemy, and they have great ones to come. At least that's what they're telling us at Georgetown U. In that little tunnel, we've got it bugged with that mechanical fly on the wall. They'll never find it because it moves around a little bit, you know. We've got it really cool. It can also do video. We should do that. Well, we haven't really been able to afford that. Okay, we need a good video producer. But anyway, yesterday's little session before they go out and give you their daily sitcom was that they're really excited now about what's to come in the future. You know, all of their little control games that you can read about on the internet, how your rights are going to be taken away. This is going to be the next portion, and they've got another outbreak scheduled for a month or two down the road after they get things kind of rolling, and they got baseball being played without fans. Something else is going to happen to make it worse, and that's going to be continuing because they want to lock everybody down completely in the end, and then give you little things that they want to give you. Jobs. They've got jobs on the internet right now for COVID virus surveillance teams in different segments of the country, and you're surveilled. This is true, $20 an hour. Go read about it. I'll give you that tomorrow, because I have to get to my story about Slats, Grobnik, and the Second American Revolution. And this is part 7, and this will tell you exactly where I'm at now and the stage we're at in this great revolution, which is actually going to be using some Jesuit tactics against them. And I'll get to it in a minute, but this is General Slats Grobnik's Second American Revolution, Part 7. Millions, and there's a little headline, millions of Americans were being held captive in their homes by an invisible enemy, and I was thinking about the Three Stooges. There it was, a magnificent structure. Finally, my eyes were transfixed on what for years only my dreams brought to life. The replica Roman Colosseum in that Kansas cornfield. What a beauty. What elegance. It looks like it could touch the clouds. The Roman arches, just like in Ben-Hur. What a careful design. What intricate, occult, chiseled writings. Done tastefully, I might add, I thought. Done without the slightest intention of offending any feminists. But it definitely smelled masculine. No place for a woman to do battle. It was Herculean in size, shape, and structure, built to honor the androgynous gods, just like in the old days of Caesar Augustus, Charlton Heston. And then I laughed out loud, saying to the cornrows, Didn't the Three Stooges play gladiators and chariots in one of their old sitcom TV shows? Of course they did. Why did I even ask? I think Mo Curly and Larry I think Mo hit Curly over the head with a hammer in the end. As I sat down in the fields of corn, looking at the eighth wonder of the world, I saw the Stooges. Here I am, dressed as gladiators, but could not even remember what one of those other seven wonders of the world were. Snap out of it. Don't fall into that occult trance like so many Americans are in right now. The whole world's in an occult trance. Don't fall for it. Don't blow the whole day away. I was here for a purpose, something of paramount importance. Millions of Americans were being captive in their homes by an invisible enemy, and I was thinking about the Stooges. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. So I stood tall, pretending to pull out my sword, talking to my invisible steed like Don Quixote as I walked down the very nicely laid cobblestone road to what looked like, in the distance, the entrance gate to the Colosseum. Along the way there were many signs intended to direct the patrons. One said in bright red colors, quote, "The gladiator events may get bloody." Others read, "Children under 18 not allowed. All gladiators have been verified through the Citizen Surveillance Organization, CSO, as card-carrying members of the dreaded Vatican Jesuit-led New World Order gang. Fighting to the death are the rules. Only Emperor Slats Grobnik can pardon anyone." There is a Jumbotron scoreboard for action-packed instant replays. And I have to add this while I'm reading my article for posterity, just like King Alfred. Wouldn't it be great to do a replay of Bush? He's still alive, fighting Kissinger or something. Oh, boy. There were many more of those signs, but it was a nice touch. Slats had thought of everything, and I couldn't help but notice a lot of parking, maybe for 100,000 cars, which kind of reminded me of Dodger Stadium when fans were allowed at baseball games. When I reached the entry gate, drawn spears blocked my path. They were carried by what looked like two members of the old Roman Praetorian Guard. "Who goes there? Who seeks to pass through these gates?" "I, sir. Greg Anthony of Mexico, Greg Anthony of the Investigative Journal. I'm here on direct orders from Slats Grobnik." "Your papers?" I looked puzzled, patting my pockets like I had nothing, thinking, Slats, this guy thinks of everything, doesn't he? "We will inquire, Sir Anthony." I expected them to pull out their cell phones and call Slats, but instead they lodged a note in a pigeon's claw, or is it a foot, letting him fly loose over the cornfield. "No cell phones here. Too dangerous, easily tracked," one of the guards explained. And as I waited for the bird to return, the guards allowed me to look at some of the intricate writing on the great wall of the Colosseum. I said, "This is master mason work," I thought, touching what looked like the many cross-like insignias stretched in a long row. A closer inspection told me they were the signature of the head deity of the Babylonian mythology, Anu. "Hey, is this the god Anu?" The guards stood silent like statues, figuring they were trained like the Swiss guards at the Vatican. This Slats Grobnik boy, he was a sly fox, I surmised. He crafted the Babylonian Anu signatures all the way around the walls of the Colosseum, just like they are displayed on so many of the U.S. and state government buildings, like the ones on the U.S. Supreme Court building in D.C. Why would the Supreme Court be identified by the Babylonian god Anu? Doesn't make sense, considering we swear on a Christian Bible. But Slats knew, of course. The sly fox was telling those with eyes to see, brains to think, and the courage to fight against the rulers of evil, who actually put those Babylonian Anu signias on the Supreme Court building. For those interested, the Babylonian myth of Marduk begins with the god of Anu, looking down on the land in chaos, overrun by monstrous serpents. It's kind of like looking down on the land in chaos today, since the invisible COVID-19 enemy arrived. It's necessary to remind those interested that this Marduk and Anu myth resembles almost to a T the biblical story of Cain and Abel as well. For starters, in the myth, Anu wants Marduk, who was the firstborn son of the moon goddess Ea, to clean up the land, kill the serpents. Marduk agrees only on one condition. The condition was that he become first among the gods, his words having the force and decree of Anu, the god, the great god. Anu agrees, vesting him with the power and insignia. Anu's signature, declaring with this that Marduk now possessed the power and authority of the gods. This is kind of what the Pope, the President, and other world leaders all think they are today, thinking we are just like Babylonian gods. That's what they think. Back to the myth. Marduk, with this newly given supreme power, then wore this Anu signature like a badge of a top police officer on his arm, identifying him truly as the god among mortal men. Kind of like what they do today. In fact, this ordination or mark of power has by design lasted through 50 centuries. Can you believe this? The Babylonian nations never without it, as are the nations today, all carrying the same signature or mark of the gods on many of their buildings, just like in the Marduk myth. For example, it's found on the flag of Great Britain. They call it the Iron Cross, and said to signify the union of St. Andrew's Scottish Cross and the St. George's English Cross. It seems to be a cover, I thought. A noose cross is also found on many U.S. government buildings, especially adorning courthouses like the Supreme Court. What's the story here, I have to ask? Looking for it elsewhere, the Anu cross can be found engraved in the pavement surrounding the obelisk in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican, where millions have stood to receive papal blessings. Why they profess to be Christian? Why adorn the square in honor of a Babylonian god? Slats had the answer, saying something like, I know the Pope and Jesuit. Now listen to this one. He knows what he's talking about. He says, listen, I know the Pope and Jesuits hide behind Jesus and Christianity, and for starters, the U.S. government and the Vatican worship false gods, while deep down thinking they have the force and decree to rule over the peasants of the world like the Babylonian gods of the past. Oh, it was sly, in-your-face trick putting a new signature on the Colosseum, but I liked it. About that time, the pigeon came the pigeon came flying back with a message in his claw, or was it a foot? The guards waved me over and handed me the written message. It was from Slats. Oh, my goodness. You're going to read this. Listen to this. This is unbelievable. I got to check the time because, boy, this is lasting longer than I thought. Okay, can I do this in 4 minutes? Oh, my goodness. Here's what Slats said. Szymanski, calling me by my surname. The guards will escort you to the green room or tunnel like the one you wrote about so often between Georgetown University and the White House. Your articles gave me the idea to construct such a meeting room as if like home, since we have been so electronically bugging that place for so many years. I promise never to give away our secret, but that mechanical fly on the wall idea was so ingenious that it went unnoticed even by the top CIA bug detectors. The room or tunnel has a fully equipped bedroom, bath, and kitchen to your convenience, being the exact replica of the one at Jesuit Georgetown that was used when the heads of state, who did not cooperate, were drugged, tortured, and compromised by ladies of the night. In the room, there are refreshments and a case of your favorite old-style beer. Don't drink it all in one night like you used to at your fraternity parties. The guards will bring in your meals. There's a surround sound TV if you want to watch Netflix or the news. And really, all the conveniences just like at your home in Mexico. During the day, don't worry. Stay-at-home orders are not adhered to. The guards will show you around this magnificent Colosseum at your leisure. All I ask is no photos or cell phones. If you need to send me an urgent message, we have Molly the Pigeon at your disposal. Okay, I can get this in. Yes, I can. As I know, oh boy, he knows me pretty well. As I know you trained racehorses and now have 5 or 7 of your own dogs, there are a number of Malamutes running around the grounds to keep you company, as well as a great white horse to ride. The white stallion is trained to dance while pulling a chariot like the one you went on when you lived in Rome with that famous horse trainer from Ben-Hur, who had been relegated to performing at toga parties for drunken Americans at the Hotel Hilton in Rome. I used to go on those with him. One last thing, as I have an important meeting scheduled with one of our other generals in what I call the Upper Midwest Revolutionary Sector, you will find the remotes on the coffee table and a leather-bound notebook saying the protocols of the Second American Revolution. It is about 325 pages of reading material to get you up to speed on the progress and strategies to divide and conquer the Vatican Jesuit-led New World Order before it controls the entire planet. Excuse me, I know you like to call it a flat plane. We have solid intel that there will be a break in the action coming soon during this obvious COVID-19 pandemic takeover. Eventually, it is going to be a viral again. For 2 or maybe 3 more years, this might be the right time to strike before their forces lock it down too tight to ever have a chance of recovery. So enjoy the reading material, and I will return in several days for a long-awaited meeting. How long? He's asking me here. I got about a minute. How long has it been since we last saw each other? How long has it been since we threw back a beer an inning sitting in the right field bleachers at Wrigley? I don't recall much of the score or who the Cubs played, but it was a doubleheader, as I recall, so that was a lot of beer. That reminds me, this is not Chicago or America when there is no drinking or baseball games, no fans, and unacceptable. I must shout out from the hinterlands, give me baseball or give me death. Yours in war and peace, Slats Grobnik. Okay. So anyway, then I was led to that green room, like I mentioned, and I only have a few seconds here. You can go get the full story of all 7 of these. I'm sitting in the green room now in Georgetown, or excuse me, like Georgetown. I'm here now, and I'll tell you more about it tomorrow. Waiting for Slats to return. He said a few days, and I'm going to read this Protocols of the Second American Revolution so I can get up to speed on how we can make sure that the Vatican Jesuit-led New World Order does not take our minds, bodies, and souls. Okay, back tomorrow on the greatest show on earth, the investigative journal, the Investigatore Giornale.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.